All right. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say call halayim Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakal Quitash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who taught me this truth and who rule well in this truth. Shalom to the 144,000 and the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel that is scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Peace and mercy unto you. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You are the true Hebrew Israelites that the Bible speaks of. You are the true chosen people of the book. All right. So what I want to go into today, all right, is a book called The Watchtower and the Masons, written by Fritz Springmeier. All right, because this book goes into how the Jehovah Witnesses and the Masons are connected, man. All right, because the person that started and founded the Jehovah Witness, all right, is Charles Taze Russell. All right, which he himself was a Freemason. All right, he also was included in other secret societies, all right, like the Knights of the Templar. All right, and if you know anything about Freemasonry, it's nothing but witchcraft. All right, it's nothing but sorcery. All right, and Satanism. All right, that's what Freemasonry is, man. All right, and Charles Taze Russell, he was a Freemason. All right, and he's the one that started the Jehovah Witnesses, man. All right, and this book goes into it. All right, Fritz Springmeier. All right, he reveals and brings out great evidence, man. All right, very great evidence, man. All right, of this man being a Freemason. All right, and being included in all that witchcraft and these secret societies and all that. All right, but I also want to show you something on my page right here. All right, lessons and videos that I had done. All right, also going into this. All right, I have a video right here titled Jehovah Witnesses and the Satanic Illuminati, all right, the Russell family, all right, because in this video I'm going into a book called The Bloodlines of the Illuminati, written by the same man, all right, Fritz Springmeier, all right, and this book goes into all the Illuminati satanic bloodlines, the Illuminati and satanic families, all right, and the Russell family is one of them, man. All right, now Charles Taze Russell, he's the one that started the Jehovah Witness, and he himself was a Freemason. All right, and dove into all of that, man. All right, so that doctrine that these the doctrine that these Jehovah Witnesses bring to you, man. All right, that's a false doctrine, man. All right, all their philosophy and ideology that they bring, all right, in their doctrine is all bullshit and nonsense, man. All right, so let's just go into the preface of this book real quick. All right, and I'll read it. All right, it says this book is a preliminary investigation. Yeah, because what he does is bring out evidence, man. All right, of this man being a Freemasonry, and right, and what he was into, and all of that. All right, and it gives you the origin of you know, his story, how everything came to be about, and all of that, man. All right, we gonna go into that, man. All right, this book is a preliminary investigation. Should the good Lord see it fit, it will someday be followed with more pertinent information. All right. This book begins with curiosity about the Jehovah Witnesses' strangeness. All right. It proceeds to examine the story of their founder, Pastor Charles Taze Russell, because Russell's history is a liability to the society. All right. They have tried to distance themselves from Charles Taze Russell, all right, while at the same time in general carrying forth his ideas, all right. The author has confirmed Russell's Masonic membership, all right. He was a Freemason, man. All right, he was a Freemason. All right, so let's get into it, man. All right, if you want, actually, hold up, I'll go back right here. All right, and I'll keep it still real quick so you can read this preface for yourself. All right, keep it still. All right, also with this page, all right, these two pages right here, I'll keep it still for a second so you can pause it, read it for yourself. All right, but let's get into it. I want to get into this right here. All right, And I just want to read what I feel, is important, all right, that you should know. All right, let's get into it. All right. It says, when Charles Taze Russell, all right, when Charles T. Russell created a new religious body, his ideas did not come of a vacuum. All right, various scholars have tracked down Russell's ideas to all kinds of heresies. All right, the scriptures talk about damnable heresies, man. All right, it says, where did all these strange beliefs come from? All right, my early exposure to Jehovah's Witnesses piqued my curiosity. For instance, why call one's meeting place a hall? Why not kingdom meeting or kingdom assembly or kingdom study or church or chapel or tabernacle or temple or something else? Why hall? Why all the secrecy? Why are the writers, all right, and leaders of Watchtower society clouded in secrecy? Yeah, because starting with the elite banking families, the Illuminati, all right, and all the secret societies, all right, that's how they maintained their power for a long time, in secrecy. All right, but now, all right, the wicked, all right, the wicked elite banking families, the wicked Edomite elite banking families, they're now being exposed. They're now being exposed through the true prophets of the Lord, man. All right, the Israelites that are out on the highways and hedges teaching, man. First and foremost, the Israelites of Great Millstone, and the ones that teach in like manner, because they are the ones that have 100% truth of the Bible, the 100% true gospel. You understand? All right, Esau Edom, he's now being exposed, all right, through the prophets, through the word of the Lord, all right, and that's why his kingdom is falling, his rulership is falling, because he's now being exposed. Everything that he has been doing in secret is now coming to the forefront, man. All right, his wickedness, his vileness, you understand? All that's being exposed, all right, and now that's why he has to come down with very great wrath, like it's written in Revelation 12:12, all right, because he knows that he has nothing but a short time, because he sees the prophets out here exposing his wickedness, exposing his vileness, exposing who he really is, the devil that the Bible speaks of. Esau Edom, starting with the elite banking families, the so-called white man. All right, it says, why all the secrecy? Why are the writers and leaders of the Watchtower Society clouded in secrecy? All right. Why have no membership records been kept? All right. The answer given, that was a security measure in case of persecution, didn't satisfy me. All right. Other groups equally persecuted made other choices that are not secretive. They would say, we trust God and we and are willing to suffer for him, and why be secretive? All right, what have we to hide? All right, because you got to understand, this is Fritz Springmeier, all right, talking about his curiosity, man. All right, and then him being curious of why things are the way they are. He started doing research and investigating, man, and then he brings out all this evidence on Charles Taze Russell of him being a Freemasonry, and how he goes into the history and all of that, man. All right, it says the choice to be secretive is just that, choice, and that decision and other attitudes are instilled from the top down. All right, that is from the Watchtower president and now the governing body, down the pyramid to the masses of Jehovah's Witnesses. All right, the answer to where Jehovah's Witnesses receive their strange beliefs, all right, strange doctrines and attitudes, come primarily from two men, because primarily only two men, Charles Taze Russell and Joseph F. Rutherford, made all the decisions of the Watchtower Society for the beginning 60 years, all right? That's who started it, Charles Taze Russell, all right? He was with the man Joseph F. Rutherford, all right? All right, it is important to understand their overwhelming contribution, all right? Next page, all right? And then you got a picture of this damn devil, all right? And they just be looking evil from birth, man, all right? All right, Charles T. Russell at 4 years of age. All right. It says Charles T. Russell's father was Joseph L. Russell. All right. Joseph L. was a Presbyterian and married one. Joseph L. left Ireland and immigrated directly to Allegheny, PA in 1846. All right. He left during the potato famine. It was a time when every village in Scotland and Britain, all right, had a Masonic lodge. Also, during the years just prior to Joseph L. immigrating to the U.S., Joseph L. experienced, along with his Presbyterian churches, the Atonement heresies that broke out in 1841 and lasted for several years. The heresies concerned the extent of the anointed atonement, all right, along with some leaders adopting the Arian views of the anointed, all right. It says several synods, all right, were cut off and some offenders disfellowship. The author hasn't confirmed which side of the disputes Joseph was on, but there are indications, all right. Charles T. Russell's mother was Anne Eliza Burney Russell. Her family was from the northern counties of Ireland, where she was born in Ulster, all right. She had Charles' older brother in 1850, Charles in 52, and then his sister Margaret M. All right, let's keep going. Because there's main points that I had wanted to bring out. I'm not sure if I want to read all this, man. I just want to bring out, but this gives his whole backstory. I guess I'll read it. We're gonna do a lot of reading then. All right. I just want to get to main. All right. Matter of fact, I'll get it right here. All right. It says, during Charles Taze Russell's early years, there was a group which his upbringing exposes. Excuse me, let me read that again. It says, during Charles Taze Russell's early years, there was a group which his upbringing exposed him to, which had just the type of religious knowledge and that Russell had a penchant for. That was the Masonic Hall located near his father's dry goods store on Federal Street. All right, another 8 blocks south across the St. Clair Street Bridge was another Masonic Hall. All right. It says in 1851 in the Pittsburgh Allegheny area, there was 52 lodges of various kinds of Freemasons and Oddfellows, all right, including a Scottish Rite Lodge, all right. By 1856, the Allegheny Lodge had moved their hall a short distance from the Federal Street to Water Street near Federal, all right. 2 lodges met there, Allegheny Lodge number 223 and Jefferson Lodge number 288. By 1858, Pittsburgh had its own Masonic Knights Templar commandery, all right. It says Russell was born in Allegheny, all right, and lived there from 1852 until 1909. The year he was born, 7 of the 20 churches in Allegheny were Presbyterian. Also of interest was the close presence of a Swedenborg New Jerusalem church and the lone Jewish synagogue for the area. All right. By 1856, there was a grand total of 23 churches in the city, 8 of these being Presbyterian. All right. This means speaking in percentages, all right, that 35% of the town's churches were Presbyterian. This shows the heavy concentration of Scot-Irish immigrants in the area. The Presbyterian churches dominated western Pennsylvania at this time. All right. Further, some Presbyterians Russell grew up around took an active role in the Masonic Hall. All right. Note that a Presbyterian minister, James Anderson, was responsible for the creation of modern Freemasonry. All right. Presbyterian ministers in Russell's day played an important role in various lodges. All right, this has continued. All right, Presbyterian minister James Allen Cabanis, all right, wrote the Grand Lodge of Mississippi's official history. All right, John McCarty, a contemporary of Charles T. Russell, and a Presbyterian minister, also wrote a Masonic book. All right, and Anglican and Presbyterian ministers in the British Isles have been known to lose their jobs for speaking against the Masons. All right, it says, why were Presbyterians so prominent in the Masons? All right, the answer goes back to where the modern Freemasons began. All right, the modern rites began in the British Isles. The Scot-Irish began one of these. All right, the Irish Grand Lodge was formed in 1775, and the Scot the following year. The Irish played a special role in the establishing the Penn Lodges. All right, so although the Masons are now spread throughout the world, when Charles T. Russell grew up, it was still primarily a Scottish Rite English blooded membership. All right, that's how it all started, man. All right, it says Masonry, with its undefined deism, all right, we very close, all right, to Voltaire's rationalism. All right, the law of nature and reason play a vital role in this philosophy. All right, Jefferson's deism, all right, which is enunciated, all right, so clearly in the Declaration of Independence, was quite appropriate for its signatories. All right, for 8 are confirmed Masons. All right, Benjamin Franklin, John Hancock, Joseph Hughes, and others. Yeah, all the people on the Mount Rushmore, you know, the so-called founding fathers, all right, they were all Freemasons, man. All right, because a lot of people are brainwashed, thinking that they were Christians. All right, Christians with moral views, and they built this they built the foundation of this country on Christian ways and philosophies. Nah, man, they were all Freemasons, man. All right, which, Freemasonry is nothing but witchcraft and sorcery, man. All right, wizardry, All right, it says Benjamin Franklin, which you see him on the $100 bill. All right, John Hancock, Joseph Hughes, and others. All right, and 24 other signatories. All right, unless certain evidence may have been Masons, they were Masons. All right, because when you go into the book, there's another book called Codex Magica, written by Tex Mars. All right, exposes all of that. Exposes George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson. They were all Freemasons, man. All right, they got pictures of them wearing the Freemason gowns, the garments, and all of that. All right, it says 17 presidents have been Masons. Yeah, of course, man. All right, spiritual wickedness in high places, the scriptures say. All right, I think that's Ephesians, the 6th chapter. All right, spiritual wickedness in high places, man. All right, it says 7 presidents have been Masons. All right. And all of these 17, it says 17 presidents have been Masons. All right. And all of these 17 had English or Scottish ancestry. So it goes all the way back, man. All right. These 17 are Washington, you see? George Washington, Madison, all right, Monroe, Jackson, Polk, Buchanan, Andrew Johnson, Garfield, McKinley, both Roosevelts, Taft, Harding, Truman, Lyndon Johnson, Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan. All right. 17 vice presidents have also been Masons. All right. Note that the first 3 presidents were affiliated with the Episcopal Church, and the next 3 Masons to become U.S. presidents were Presbyterian. So it all connects, bro. It all connects. All right. Presidents are not the only Scottish Irish Freemason leaders. Joseph Smith's Masonic membership is proven, and Joseph Smith is the one that started the Mormon Church. Joseph Smith is one that started the Mormon Church, and he himself was a Freemason. All right, Scottish Rite Freemason. All right, Joseph Smith's Masonic membership is proven, and Mary Baker Eddy's close ties with the Freemasons are documented. Ooh, all right, her first and beloved husband died and left her a widow. He was a Freemason. All right, he was a Freemason. The Freemasons took care of her as a widow, and after that kindness, she very close to them. And after that kindness, she was very close to them her entire life. She had material published in the Freemasons monthly magazine. All right, and you go right here. It's a book called Unity of Good by Mary Baker Eddy. All right, Mary Baker Eddy and some Mormons, all right, have used the same Masonic logo that Russell displayed. All right, so all that Mormonism and all that Jehovah Witness, bro, that's all rooted in Freemasonry, man. Which Freemasonry is nothing but witchcraft and sorcery and wizardry. All right, they're a bunch of warlocks, man. They worship Satan, man. That's all it is, bro. All right, when you go into Codex Magica, when you read that book Codex Magica written by Tex Mars, it reveals all of that, man. All right, when you read a book written by Albert Pike called Morals and Dogma, all right, which he himself was a Freemason. He's the one that started the KKK. Albert Pike. All right, he goes into it, man. All right, he revealed it, man, that they worship Satan, man. All right, and he was a Freemason, man. All right, it says, you see this picture right here. Let's zoom into it real quick. As you see right here, the constitutions of Freemasons. All right, of the Freemasons. All right. It says Presbyterian Minister Anderson's Masonic Constitution from 1722 to 1723. Note the Phoenix, all right, which was later used in the original design of the U.S. Great Seal. Yeah, right here, the Phoenix. All right, and that's on the back of the dollar bill. All right, the Great Seal, the seal. All right, which all goes back to Freemasonry, man. All right, you see how everything just ties in, man. All right, they're Freemasons. All right, they're heavy in symbolism, which is you know, whether it comes into whether it's pictures or handshakes, hand symbols, and all that, man. That's why you got that on the back of the dollar bill, the Phoenix, man. All right. It says, let me zoom out real quick. It says, churches publicly stand pro or anti-Mason, all right? It says in 1831 through 1838, a strong anti-Freemason campaign, let me zoom in real quick, campaign hit Pennsylvania. Campaigns would hit prior to or during Russell's life, all right? Just like the anti-liquor and anti-abortion campaigns of the future, all right? Churches had to take a stand for or against Freemasonry, all right? And you got a lot of these Christian pastors, a lot of these pastors in their churches, whether no matter what denomination it is, Baptist, Presbyterian, Protestant, whatever, man. All right, you got these Christian pastors. They're Masons, bro. All right, knowingly and willingly deceiving the people, man, bro. You people have no idea, bro. No idea, man. All right, it says most of the denominations did take a stand against the secret Freemasons for a while. All right, it says in Allegheny there were 3 Presbyterian churches inside town. All right, while Russell grew up in another 13 Presbyterian churches in the county that kept records. There were 5 different types of Presbyterian churches in Western Pennsylvania. Excuse me, let me go back. In Western Pennsylvania, the Reformed Presbyterian Church, Evangelical Synod, all right, the Cumberland Presbyterian Church. Let me read that again. It says there were 5 different types of Presbyterian churches in Western Pennsylvania. The Reformed Presbyterian Church, Evangelical Synod, all right, the Cumberland Presbyterian Church, Association Presbyterian Church, the Presbyterian Church, and the United Presbyterian Church of North America. All right, it says formed by merging in 1858 at the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, both the Associated Presbyterian Church and the Associated Reformed Presbyterian Church. All right, the more liberal of these had members who were Masons. All right, a few denounced Freemasonry. A few denounced Masonry. All right, by 1889, all right, 100 years before I was born. All right, by 1889, the Masons had gained the Masons have gained ground within the churches. All right, the Alabama Grand Lodge reported that year that out of its 7,950 Freemasons in the state, 583 were Christian ministers. You see what I told you, man? And it's the same thing till this day. The same thing till this day. You got Christian pastors in these Christian churches that you go to listen to preach on Sunday. All right, they're Freemasons, man. All right, they're Freemasons, man. All right, man. It says the New York Grand Lodge report of 1890 gives us breakdown of the 703 Christian clergymen that were in New York. Masonic members, all right? Masonic members, all right? Methodist, Episcopalian, all right? Baptist, all right? Presbyterian, Universalist, Congregationalist, thus Reformed is giving you the amount of each denomination. Christian, see, even bro. All right, Christian, all right, Lutheran, Jewish, Unitarian, Reformed Jew, all right? It says it is clear Russell rejected the Presbyterian, all right, and the congregational churches that he belonged to because they believed in hell, all right, and not because they allowed Freemasons it says because they believed in hell and not because they allowed Freemasons within their congregation. All right, a study of Russell's life, all right, shows no interest on his part of joining the anti-Masonic campaign. All right, it says the worst enemy of the Masonic Lodge was the Catholic Church. All right, In modern times, all right, the Masons have successfully obtained supporters and few members, all right, from their longtime opponent, the Catholic Church, all right, and all the Pope and all them, all right, the entire Catholic Church is ran by Freemasons today, all right, ran by the elite banking families, which are Freemasons and Knights of the Templars and all that, bro. All right, your Pope is a damn Freemason and a witch and a warlock, man. What do you think they do, man? All right. It says in modern times, the Masons have successfully obtained supporters and few members from their longtime opponent, the Catholic Church. When Russell was a 33, all right, I think a 30 was 33 or was a 33, all right, meaning a 33rd degree Freemason, all right. Pope Leo, all right, the 13th made it anathema for Catholics to join the Masons, all right. This act drew no acclaim from Russell. All right, Russell refers to the Catholic Church as the Jezebel of 2 Kings 9 in his second volume, page 256. All right, it says, and Russell does seem to echo the Masons. All right, Albert Pike and Mazzini. Come on, man. All right, Albert Pike and Mazzini were both Freemasons, man. All right, and the elites, there's something that's known as the Albert Pike and Mazzini plan. All right, which was a plan to start 3 world wars. The Third World War was to bring tensions and controversy between the Muslim world and the Judaism world. That's how World War III was going to start, and that's exactly how you see it happening right now. The elite, they're going by the Albert Pike and Mazzini blueprint right now, which Albert Pike and Mazzini, they were both Freemasons, man. All right. Giuseppe Mazzini is the last name of Giuseppe Mazzini, which he was the first in command, all right, of the Illuminati after Andrew Weishaupt died, which is the one that started the Illuminati. All right. After Andrew Weishaupt died, Mazzini, all right, was the one that controlled it, man. All right, he was the leader. All right, and he was the one that created the mafia. All right, started the mafia, the Illuminati. All right, when Giuseppe Mazzini was in charge. All right, mafia is actually an acronym. All right, the M stands for Mazzini. All right, and the other letters AFIA. I forgot what those are, but they're Italian. All right, Italian words. All right. It says, and Russell does seem to echo the Masons, Albert Pike Mazzini, and others in his strong anti-Catholic attacks, all right, who also, like Russell, branded the Pope and his hierarchy as agents of the Antichrist, all right. Now, there's not no one Antichrist like these wacky tacky Christians believe. There's not a one man known as the Antichrist that's coming and he's going to deny, man. That's the word Antichrist. Anti meaning against, and Christ coming from the Greek word Christos, which means anointed, all right? The scriptures say there are many Antichrists. If you're against the true gospel, all right, the true anointed Yahweh Shai, all right, you're an anti-Messiah. You're anti-anointed, man. All right, if you're an atheist, you're an anti-Christ, an anti-Messiah. All right, if you believe in a false gospel like Christianity, you're an anti-Christ, an anti-Messiah. All right, any type of Christian denomination, you're an anti-Messiah, anti-Christ, man. All right, just to give examples, man. If you're a Muslim, you're an anti-Christ, an anti-Messiah, you know, a Buddhist, you know. All right, it says both Russell and these men call for the Catholic Church, all right, Babylon the Great, which Babylon the Great is America, all right? That's the true understanding. When you read about Babylon the Great in the Bible, or the great daughter of Babylon, or Mystery Babylon, all right, or Babylon who are doubt to be destroyed, that's talking about America, all right? America is Babylon the Great in the Bible. That's talking about America, an empire that is going to be destroyed, which is America, all right, by thermonuclear destruction in his Third World War. All right. It says, considering Russell rejected, all right, was to show you that these other nations, these other people, they don't have the true understanding of the scriptures, man. All right. It says, considering Russell rejected the Protestant doctrines, it seems rather Masonic-like that he disliked the Catholics to such an extreme. All right. It says, reading Russell's series of sermons advocating the Protestant denominations to merge highlights how much he lumped them together. All right. In Thy Kingdom Come, 1891, the defilements and persecutions of the Pope are mentioned. All right. True. Other religious men refer to the Catholic Church as Babylon the Great, which, Babylon the Great is not talking about the Catholic Church. All right, again, it's talking about the America. All right, America is Babylon the Great. All right, it says, but the Watchtower Society after Russell would take a much less prejudiced view. All right, they would hate Catholics and Protestants equally. All right, there does seem then to be some justifications to see his anti-Catholic behavior as more than simply a doctrinal disagreement. All right, this is displayed in Russell's world tour. Russell seems, all right, to have connections to people he'd never met, Masonic connections, Masonic help. All right, at any rate, Russell concludes at the end of a world tour that there was no market for his message in the Catholic countries. He felt his message could be marketed in England, Scotland, Ireland, and Scandinavia. All right, which by then Scandinavia had a strong Masonic membership. All right, remember that King Gustavus V of Sweden was Grand Master of Sweden, and King Edward VII of England was at one point the Grand Master of England's Freemasons. All right, if Russell really believed in his message and that God was behind them, why did he feel heathens, all right, would come more readily than Catholics to his message? All right, now if the Masons were supporting him, this might offer an explanation that would make this more understandable. All right, Russell claimed to have spent the 2 years, all right, after he rejected the Congregational Church studying Eastern religions. In one sermon, he listed several like Buddhism, but adds that there were others. All right, the author has read much of what Russell's wrote and said, all right, and has yet to see evidence of in-depth knowledge on the part of Russell toward Buddhism, Hinduism, or Islam. All right, this author theorizes that the Eastern religions he studied most were likely those that the Masonic Eastern Star would study, all right, such as the study of the Egyptian, all right, and Middle East paganism that is so important to Freemasonry. All right, Russell and his followers held meetings during the 1906-1907 time period at the Eastern Stars Temple on Sunday nights at 7:30. By the way, men do join and lead the order of Eastern Star, even though it is considered a women's organization. All right, the only connection that the author has found between the OES, all right, and Russell are his meetings there. But it can be asked, what Masonic symbolism was Russell's astute mind exposed to? All right. All right. It is important to bear in mind that Russell was adept at picking and choosing within his mind the facts, arguments, and evidence he cared to regard. It can be depended upon that Russell accepted new information which he was predisposed to accept. His shell was hard to penetrate because he was a good speaker, had exceptional abilities to bluff, to feign confidence, and maintain himself before audience in situations where others would have lost face. All right, these all contributed to his ability to filter out what he didn't want to accept. All right, keep reading. All right, you know what? I'll end it right there. All right, so Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. All right, Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Rat this lesson was edifying. All right. I want to say call halal yum Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakal Quitash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth and who rule well in this truth. All right, this word that we preach. All right. Shalom to the 144,000 and the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel that is scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Peace and mercy unto you, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You are the true Hebrew Israelites that the Bible speaks of. You are the true chosen people of the book. All right, so with that being said, until the next one, if it be the Lord's will, I'll do a part 2. All right, so with that being said, shalom.